What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Philly Frenzy podcast. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm here with my buddy, Rob. What's going on, Rob?
Just got done with our NFL show. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out. And we're going to get into our rim reports on the NBA right now, man. I'm pretty excited. This is the one sport I can be excited about right now.
So let's hit this rim report. Biggest report. Really the biggest thing today on the podcast is going to be the loss for Denver and point guard Jamal Murray. Hoping for a speedy recovery. It is a torn ACL in his left knee. He's out for the rest of the year. So that definitely hurts Denver's chances of making any kind of run. Now you look back at the trade deadline when you traded Gary Harris away for Aaron Gordon. Gary Harris could have been a guy that stepped in and played point guard at a very high level for you. Now that you don't have him and Jamal Murray hurt, I don't know who's playing point guard. Hopefully it's somebody that could come in. Jokic. I mean that's fine. Just put 5'7" footers out there. I think he could handle it. But yeah, Denver loses Jamal Murray.
Passes about as well as point guard, so he's got it.
Denver was playing really well, so it sucks. No Murray, but let's jump to.
That really upsets me because I think Denver was one of the better teams out west, and I think they were a team that healthy could have at least given the Lakers a nice series. So for them to lose one of their star players, and obviously that changes, the whole thing of them giving the Lakers a good series if they matched up. That's a bummer when you lose, potential good playoff matchup.
Let's shoot into the Sixers. So the Sixers are coming off a four-game. They're coming off a 4-game road trip. They went 3-1. They ended up playing Dallas last night. They blew Dallas' doors off, but Porzingis did not play. So we don't know exactly. This season's been weird. We don't know exactly how Philadelphia stacks up against some of these teams until we get to the playoffs, because a lot of these guys are going off of, let's get to the playoffs and play our guys then.
Right now Dallas isn't even guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. So they should be playing for wins right now because they're currently the 7 seed, which means they're involved in that whole play-in system.
Yeah.
So you're not even a guaranteed playoff team right now. I wouldn't be overly resting guys, that's for sure.
I know I've made a bold prediction that Philadelphia would go to the finals and lose to the Lakers and yada, yada, yada. The Sixers, we do get to see them play Brooklyn tomorrow night, but it looks like there will be no James Harden and no Kyrie Irving.
So it's not really Brooklyn.
Correct. There is a stat that I wanted to point out with the Sixers team, and it's starting to become something that we are seeing over and over and over again. I don't know if Philadelphia gets out of the first round, out of the second round, out of the third round. I'm going to be honest. I really don't see them getting out of the second round right now if they have to play Milwaukee. And here's why. Ben Simmons is terrible. He is your second star. And over the last, I believe, 10 games, Ben Simmons has 28 turnovers to 27 buckets made. Nowhere in the NBA have we ever sat down and said, he makes 11 buckets a game, 12 buckets a game. We say he scores 22, 24, 26. This isn't baseball. This isn't football where 7 receptions is a good game. 2 base hits is a good game. Last night he was 3 for 6 with 8 points. The other issue I'm having, he can't hit free throws. We all saw him struggle the last couple years shooting free throws, and then this year he stepped it up a notch. He was shooting about 72, 73% going into the All-Star game. All right, cool. Looks like we're getting a guy who could, go to the line. He's not going to be missing every 2 shots that he takes at the free throw line. Also, he looked aggressive before the All-Star break, and now we're seeing Ben Simmons, who last night shot 3 for 6, had 8 points, had 7 rebounds and 6 assists, I believe. To me, that's unacceptable. Joel Embiid isn't going to be scoring 70 points a game in the playoffs. And when you play a team like Brooklyn, where Kyrie's going to have 30, James Harden's going to have 30, Durant's going to have 30.
Durant's probably going to have 30.
The 3 guys right there are going to have 90. What are we getting in Philadelphia?
And one of those guys may very well have 40. So
exactly, what are we getting in Philadelphia? Joel with 40 and Toby with 20 and Ben with 6 every single night. So
I mean, Ben is not averaging 6 points on the season.
He's averaging 14.
14, almost 15, but that's to go along with almost 8 rebounds and 7 assists a game and 1.6 steals a game.
Yes, I understand that he's going to be, he's a defensive presence. I get that.
So he may not be our, yes, he's our second star, but that doesn't mean he has to be our second best scorer. Because right now, he's our best distributor. Okay, so that's something. He's probably our overall best defender. And he's also a guy who gets you rebound. So he's doing other things on the team. I understand. I agree. I would like him to score a little bit more. I think my goal with him would be just get him. If he got to 20 points a game, then I think we're a dangerous team. But I agree. He does need to pick it up some on the scoring, but we can't call him a bad player considering he's elite at almost everything else he does.
Excuse my language. You're 7 foot tall and you play like a pussy.
He does. So does Embiid at times, so that's why he makes me mad too.
Ben shies away from contact. Ben hasn't had many injuries in his career. Joel, he's 7 foot tall. There's times where he shies away from contact. But if I'm Joel Embiid at 7 foot tall, having knee injuries, having back injuries, at one point in his career, he couldn't stay in shape. And I think a lot of that had to do with Brett Brown. You're seeing the docs on his ass consistently. I can understand why Joel would be a little bit more, shying away from the physical play. This year, you can't say that at all about Joel. Joel's been physical. He's been dominant. He's banging down low with every single guy. Ben just is Ben. For the longest, I put to the side Ben being a non-shooter and allowing him to be aggressive and doing this and doing that. He's a good defensive player. He grabs rebounds. He has eyes. He has magic eyes. He gets balls in tight holes. He gets balls in places that you wouldn't even expect a guy to get a pass into. But he's not aggressive. If you're not going to shoot, you need to be aggressive. And when we get into the playoffs and everything slows down and it's all half-court sets, teams are going to start sagging. Teams are going to start triple-teaming Joel, not just double-teaming, triple-teaming. And when you got a guy that like Ben who can't even hit a 15-foot jumper consistently, teams know it. And it's going to hurt Philadelphia. I'm saying this now, even if they get to the finals. Daryl Morey needs to trade Ben Simmons this offseason. Signed, sealed, delivered, gone.
So I thought he should have made the move and sent Ben away for Harden. I would much rather have Bradley Beal than Ben Simmons.
The issue with James Harden, I was huge on a James Harden trade. Huge. I wanted James Harden. I said Joel Embiid and James Harden would be the second coming of Kobe and Shaq. Just not as explosive as them two were. But looking at it now, you would have had to trade Ben, Maxey, Thibault, four to six first round picks. I've come off a lot on, Harden would have been good, but it would have been more than just Ben. And I didn't even want to give up Thibault or Maxey. I was okay with. I didn't even want to give up Thibault in a deal for Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline.
James Harden is 10 times better than Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, but you're talking about... I would have been okay if it was Ben and 6 first-round picks. Cool. But you're talking Maxey, Thibault, Ben, 4 to 6 first-round picks. I've had this discussion with you.
I understand it was a lot. But I still think this team... Would this team be better if they did the Harden trade? That's what you have to ask.
Today, yes.
One, Harden would not be in Brooklyn.
Yeah, but they'd be better. They'd be better today. 3 years from now, I don't think they would be.
No, and I agree, but I'm not building a team for 3 years from now. I'm building a team to win this year. If you have Harden, that means the Nets now don't have Harden. So the only team in the East that everybody thinks is better than us wouldn't have their first to second best player, depending on the night. And we would have them. Do you think right now Harden and Joel is better than Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving?
Yes.
That's what you'd be comparing. And if you think they're better, then the Sixers would be definitively better, making us the actual favorites in the East. And I honestly think that Harden and Joel with Toby has a real good shot of beating the Lakers with LeBron and Anthony Davis.
I do too.
I think it has a much better chance than Ben, Toby, and Joel.
Yeah. I could agree with that. This is definitely a different podcast tone for me when it comes Sixers, because since we've started this podcast, I've been Philly. We're the team to beat. I don't care what Brooklyn signs. I don't care what Brooklyn trades for. Don't care what Milwaukee does. But this stretch after the All-Star break of Ben Simmons is getting out of hand, and I think it's going to hurt them more than I first thought. And the more and more and more I watch these guys play, the more I don't see them getting to the finals. I don't see them winning a championship. I see them blowing it up at the end of the season, in the off season, and Joel is the
only blow up that needs to happen.
Joel's the guy.
Ben Simmons.
Joel's the guy we should be building around, not Ben Simmons.
Absolutely.
And that takes us back.
Top 5 players in the league right now.
That takes us
back.
Build
around that.
That takes us back.
Just bring Bradley Beal this offseason. Get rid of Ben Simmons. Sign Bradley Beal to a 5-year max. And have Bradley Beal, Toby, and Joel, and run that with Thibault, with these other pieces we have with Howard that are producing off the bench. That's a good team.
Taking this back 2 years ago, I really think Philly messed up with picking Ben over Jimmy. I know a lot of people say it was Jimmy's idea to leave. I still, deep down, it was Philly's idea for Jimmy to leave because Brett Brown wanted Ben Simmons to thrive. Ben Simmons can't thrive off ball. As you can see, he's not thriving on ball. Jimmy Butler is very good on ball, and Jimmy Butler is a better defender. Jimmy Butler would have made this team better than Brooklyn right now.
Yes. I 100% agree, and this is something we talked about off air. You know, as we were talking about things to set up for today, and we both agreed that Philadelphia blew it when they picked, because they did pick Ben Simmons over Jimmy Butler, because if they would have came to Jimmy and said, look, I know the reason you're unhappy is because of Ben, we're gonna move off of Ben. If we move off of Ben, will you stay? He probably would have stayed. You lock him up, and then not only were you moving off Ben, you would have got something in return for Ben.
Let's play theory.
Add value.
Let's play theory game right now. Okay, I don't know if this is possible. Money wise, it would have worked because we would have been sitting in the same area. Say Jimmy's still here, right?
Yep.
This offseason, Houston calls. They want Ben Simmons, 6 first-round picks, Maxey Thibault for James Harden. Do you do that deal?
If Jimmy's still on the roster?
If Jimmy's still on the roster.
Yeah. Is everybody not watching James Harden play point guard for Brooklyn right now? With a shooting guard that can fire from the three-point line and play good on ball in Kyrie? Because that's exactly what he would have in Philly, except instead of Kevin Durant, he would have Joel Embiid, who I could argue is better than Durant right now.
And you'd also have Toby.
And you'd have Toby, who can spot and shoot, just like Jimmy can spot and shoot. Just like, Jimmy could be on the ball and Harden can spot and shoot. The firepower on that team around Joel would be ridiculous. You wouldn't be able to double and triple team Joel down low.
Nope.
So, yeah, I would absolutely do that deal. You'd have the best starting 5 in basketball. The Lakers would not be favored over that team. There's no way you would favor the Lakers, even with LeBron, over a team whose starting 5 was Harden, Jimmy, Toby, and Joel. I don't even care who your fifth starter is.
I do want to bring up Toby real quick. He doesn't get much love from Philadelphia fans. While Joel was out, Toby closed games for us. He kept us, in arm's length of the number 1 seed. He's still producing with Joel back. Toby is the real deal. I know people were very upset with the contract. I do believe his contract would have been different if Jimmy stayed, because all of the money wouldn't have been dumped into Toby. I do believe that was a bad mark and by the front office in Philly, where they said we have money and we're not going to do anything with it. Let's just throw it all into Toby. So I can't. This is another Carson Wentz type thing. You're throwing money at Toby. He's not going to say no. He probably would have signed for less if Jimmy was still here. But that's just my take on it. I know we're going to get more in depth next week and moving forward with the Sixers and what the postseason holds. This week it's kind of like I'm hating Ben Simmons. Let's talk I hate Ben Simmons and what could have been if Ben got traded. I don't really have much more to say on basketball besides it looks like LeBron and AD are close to a return. LeBron tweeted, actually he didn't tweet, he Instagrammed, be ready for the storm, and it was a picture of him and AD sitting on on the score table. So it looks like the Lakers are getting their big two back very, very shortly. We'll see what their numbers look like minutes-wise. And Harden is still dealing with the hamstring, and Kyrie decided that he was going to take a break because him and Dennis Schroeder got into an argument, and Kyrie wanted to be a big bitch about it. So now he needs a few nights off because his head's all wrapped up around his emotions. I have nothing else to say about the NBA right now, besides if Denver ends up, staying in the top 4 in the West, Jokic is the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched on everything major going on in the NBA, so I have nothing else to add.
All right, so coming up, we got the NHL What the Puck Philadelphia Flyers edition. Rob is going to break down the 2 trades that happened and who we got rid of. And is this the beginning of a breakdown? Stay tuned. Philly Frenzy out.